Okay, guys, so this is going to be our key and me walking through our in-class study guide, um, which is going to be used for the test tomorrow. So, first things first, insert a negative sign in the appropriate place. Remember, if we're going over the x-axis, we're going to multiply everything by this negative, absolutely everything. And the y-axis is just the x is going to be multiplied by that -1 or the negative. So just like I said, when we reflect over the x-axis, we multiply by everything. And if we multiply by the y, then we do just the x. So this is just kind of a fact. I suggest that this is at the very least what you know for the test tomorrow. It will help in some other fashions. So now, number 4, we're going to rewrite the following equation. So we're going to rewrite this, reflecting it over the x and y axis. So reflecting over the x-axis, remember we're going to multiply everything. So we're going to have the negative f of x is equal to the -1, because what we do to one side, we got to do to the other. Parentheses, -4x plus 3. And so when we distribute the -1 to the -4x and plus 3, we are going to end up with, this is in red, we're going to get 4x, minus 3. -1 times -4 is +4, and we just keep the x there. Then we have -1 and +3 is -3. Next, we got reflecting of the y-axis. Remember, this is going to be our f of -x. So all we're going to do is multiply our x here by -1. So we're going to have -4 times -1x, because that's what we're doing. We're multiplying only this x by -1, not the whole entire thing like we did up here. Not that. Then plus 3. So -4 times -1 is going to be, let's do it in red again, +4x, and then plus 3. So that's all I want for that. This is a very sufficient answer to those. So now, let's talk about moving a function up and down on a graph and this sort of thing. So if I'm moving a function up, remember if we have y is equal to mx plus b, the b is going to be our y intercept. So this is going to be our up and down. Our m is our slope. So this is going to be how steep it is. So more or less steep. So if we're moving up on the graph, we need to look for a change in the b. So if we have f of x as our function, there's no change in b in here, so it can't be this. There's no plus b, so it can't be that. Same thing over here. There's no change in b. Now in the next two, we have a plus x and a plus 2. If you think about what 2x plus x is, this is all it is just 3x. It's just combining like terms. Imagine this. I have 3 oranges and Mr. Finelli has an orange. How many oranges do we have altogether? 3 oranges. So this then has no b. So this is our answer. It is going up 2 because we got a positive 2. Next, if I want to make something less steep, I need to use a pen. Less steep, we're going to change our m. And if we're going less steep, we want to be less than we originally have. So we have a 1 here. If we want to go less, we got to do something that's less than 1. So this is 2, that's more. 2 is more. 2 is more, less steep. Very easy. 0.5 is less than 1. And 2 is not. So now if I'd like to make the function more steep, I got to go more than 1. So we've got to think about what's more than 1. 0.5 is not more than 1. Our m here is more than 1. It's 2. And we're talking about what this value is. This is our m value, remember. or y is equal to mx plus b. So this is our m value being more than what we have here. If I'd like to reflect something over the x-axis, remember we got to multiply everything by -1. So 2x plus 9. And this is the one where we have the edit to being plus 9. So remember that. So -2x, because -1 times 2 is -2, minus 9. So same deal. We get b. X-axis, we're multiplying everything, so that's why we have it in parentheses. Y-axis, the only thing that we're doing is f of -x. So we're going to get 2 times -1 times x plus 9. Because the only thing we're multiplying by -1 is our x. So now we're going to have -2x plus 9. That's D. So lastly, and on the test I'm going to have this labeled a little bit better, we want to fill in these charts and then graph. Okay? So the first thing that we're going to do is do our normal f of x. So that is what this is. So we're going to have -2 plus 1. So -2 is positive 2 plus 1 is 3. -1 is positive 1 plus 1 is 2. 0 plus 1 is 1. Then we're going to have -1 plus 1 is 0. Lastly, -2 plus 1 is -1. So this graph I'm going to do in this blue. So at -2, we're at positive, -2, we're at positive 3, 2, 1, 0, and then -1. So this is going to be our graph. Just like this. Now over here, remember, we're doing the x-axis here. So this is our flipping it over the x-axis. So we have negative f of x. So in solving for negative f of x, we're going to have the whole entire thing be negative. So -1, negative x, plus 1. Now what we do is we distribute this -1 to both of our terms. So we're going to have positive x, because -1 times negative x is going to equal positive 1x, or just x, and then -1. So now all we do is we plug in our values, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, into this equation. So -2 minus 1, -3, -1 minus 2, -2, 0 minus 1, -1, 1 minus 1 is 0, and 2 minus 1 is 1. Go ahead and plot these points. -3, -2, -1, 0, and 1. Even just looking at this graphically, you can see that these points are directly across from each other, because we're reflecting across the x-axis. So we know graphically we are also correct. Lastly, let's go ahead and do our y. Let's do it in this green color. Remember, with our y and reflecting over the y-axis, we only have the negative x. So our y-axis is only the negative x. So what we do is we take this function, and we're going to have f of negative x is equal to -1 times only the x. Remember, it's only the x, and our x is negative, and then plus 1. So now we're going to have -1 times negative x, and that's going to be positive x plus 1. So that is our y. So now we have -2 plus 1, -1, -1 plus 1 is 0, 0 plus 1 is 1, 1 plus 1 is 2, 2 plus 1 is 3. And we go ahead and graph. So at 2, we are at -1. 0, 1, 2, and 3.